Over the last several years, Tesla has definitely cemented their place as a leader in electric vehicles. But does Tesla really have any true competition? I'm Jonathan Stewart, and welcome to Cleanerwatt. We've all seen articles like this one over the years claiming that new Tesla killers were coming to the market. Here's one example from Popular Mechanics saying, "Is GM's new EV battery a Tesla killer?" I really like what the CEO of Lucid Motors said in this Teslarati article, quoting an Ars Technica article where the CEO was interviewed. Quote, "The world's big enough that we can both thrive and prosper alongside each other," Rawlinson said in an interview with Ars Technica. He also explicitly stated that being a Tesla killer is not appropriate for Lucid or its goals. "Please don't describe us as a Tesla killer," Rawlinson remarked. The truth is that Tesla has a big enough lead in the EV market right now that I don't believe there are any Tesla killers, and all the big auto manufacturers have not been able to create an EV as good or as nice as Tesla's EVs to date. And when it really comes down to it, competition in any market is actually good. It'll push those in the market, even the leaders, to make even better products, and I believe that's the same with Tesla. One recent example that shows how competition can push Tesla even further and to make better EVs is when Porsche launched their Taycan, and it was touted as a very great track vehicle with excellent performance. Tesla very shortly after that talked about their Plaid Model S they would be launching soon. Is there a coincidence that Tesla talked about launching this vehicle shortly after the Porsche Taycan? I don't think so. I think the Porsche Taycan really pushed Tesla to make the Model S even better. Before we move on with the rest of this video, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. That way you know when I post new videos, and I do post several new EV related videos every week. Also, true EV competition is actually part of Tesla's mission statement. Tesla's mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. It doesn't say dominate, but it says accelerate. Tesla knows they cannot achieve this mission alone. Also, I don't believe that Tesla sees other successful EVs as competition or as the enemy, but rather internal combustion engine, gas and diesel burning vehicles. That is what Tesla is trying to displace, not other EVs. Every good quality EV that is sold and driven actually helps accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy and sustainable transportation. In the full year of 2019, there were roughly 77.5 million vehicles sold globally. When it comes to full battery electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid vehicles and the market share they held in 2019, in China, these electrified vehicles made up about 4.7% of the vehicles sold that year. In Europe, electrified vehicles made up about 3.2% of the sales in 2019. And in the USA, electrified vehicles made up about 1.9% of all the vehicles sold in 2019. Globally, in 2019, about 2.5% of all the vehicles sold were electrified. So as you can see, EVs still have a long way to go before they reach enough market share to really start displacing internal combustion engine vehicles. Tesla alone cannot deliver 77 million vehicles a year globally. They need other EV makers to step up and make good quality electric vehicles that will sell well. When you take a look at the current competition of electric vehicles that are available here in the summer of 2020, when you compare how much range you get with a Tesla electric vehicle and you compare that to the price and also the features involved in those vehicles, you can see why Tesla currently has the best-selling EVs. This list shows the 10 longest range EVs available that you can purchase right now in the United States. Besides Tesla, there are no other EVs that have over 300 miles of range that you can purchase right now. Now, at the very beginning of this video, I asked, does Tesla really have any true competition? And the answer to that is, right now, here in 2020, they have very little competition. What you can actually buy right this moment, there's not a lot to compete with them. However, there are a lot of new EVs coming in the next several years, and I want to take just a brief moment to talk about these and show how there is some competition coming for Tesla, but it's actually a really good thing. GM recently unveiled their Lyric EV under the Cadillac brand that will be available in 2023. This SUV should have somewhere around a 300-mile range. General Motors will also be launching the GMC Hummer truck in 2022. The VW ID4 all-electric SUV will be available in the United States in 2021. And currently, VW is working on delivering their first ID3 hatchback all-electric sedans in Europe. Ford recently launched their Mustang Mach-E all-electric SUV that will be available in 2021, and we do know that Ford has future plans to have an F-150 EV truck, but we don't know what date that will be, and we really don't have a lot of details yet. Nissan also recently unveiled their new Ariya all-electric SUV that will be available in 2022. And Volvo will be selling the XC40 Recharge SUV with around 200 miles of range in 2021. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Tesla is not a company that simply stands still. They are constantly evolving and constantly improving, and although these EVs seem somewhat competitive right now, they may not be quite as competitive in 2021, 2022, 2023, and so on. There are, however, some very promising new electric vehicle companies and EV startups that are bringing out some really impressive vehicles that I think might actually be bigger competition for Tesla. Lucid Motors and I recently put out a full video about the Lucid Air, the EV that should get somewhere around a 500-mile EPA-rated range and will be available in 2021. Of course, I'm a really big fan of the Rivian R1T adventure truck and the R1S, their SUV, which will be available in 2021. Chinese automaker Nio is making some great SUVs, the ES6 and the ES8, which are available right now in China for sale. Another Chinese EV startup, Xpeng Motors, has the G3 SUV and their P7 sedan, both really nice looking vehicles, and they might do well in the Chinese market. Another newer EV company, Polestar, which is a subsidiary of Volvo, of course, has their new Polestar 2 sedan coming out right now, and that vehicle is very comparable to the Tesla Model 3. I did an entire video on the Polestar 2, and I believe it is a very impressive and great EV. So here we are in 2020, some 8+ years after Tesla first started selling their first mass market EV, the Tesla Model S, and the competition is just now starting to catch up with what the Model S offered in 2012. Why is Big Auto lagging so far behind, and why do these EV startups seem to be actually bringing out potentially better vehicles? One of the big reasons why I believe that Big Auto is lagging behind is, of course, because at first they did not take Tesla seriously. However, that was a big mistake, and Tesla has been able to gain a big lead over these auto manufacturers because they started much earlier than they did. There are also several characteristics of a big, large company that hold them back and make it less possible for them to disrupt a market and really be successful in EVs. Big automotive companies suffer from something that a lot of other big companies suffer from, and that is having a big, complicated political corporate structure. This kind of structure often incentivizes short-term success over long-term success. Executives are often trying to protect their jobs and have job security rather than pushing the envelope towards a future goal or some kind of new technology. Another aspect of legacy auto that I believe is holding them back is their old dealership model. This two-step distribution, while it did work well in the past, I believe is becoming outdated with the new online marketplaces that people have set up and the success of these online marketplaces. With this dealership model, this gives auto manufacturers less control over the purchase experience, and it also potentially allows them to make less money, less margin on these vehicles because it's a two-step sales process. Both the auto manufacturer and the dealership have to be able to make profit on that vehicle. This means that a company like Tesla that sells direct to the consumer, if they're very efficient on their sales side, can actually either sell the vehicle for less, undercutting the competition, or they can make more profit on the vehicle. Something else that is holding back Big Auto, I believe this may be the biggest factor, is that they cannot kill their current cash cow, which are internal combustion engine vehicles. Big auto companies have a lot of money invested in internal combustion engine technology, transmission technology, and of course all the factories and equipment in this. And they also have to be careful not to kill what is producing their income right now, and that is selling internal combustion engine vehicles. They really find themselves in a catch-22 situation, knowing that EVs are the future, but they can't sacrifice their immediate for the future because then they would go out of business. I also believe that outsourcing as a general rule for auto manufacturers, although it was popular in the past, I believe it's no longer a good plan. Many auto manufacturers are still trying to outsource as much as possible, and this slows down their progress. It also does not allow them to have as good as solutions often to the technology problems they have in their vehicles. So those are the reasons why I believe big auto manufacturers have been lagging behind, and I believe they will continue to lag behind even with these exciting EVs they are launching. I believe some of Tesla's biggest future competition will actually come from some of the EV startups that we mentioned earlier in the video. These EV startups can move faster and make changes to adapt to a market really quickly. Startups also don't have a complicated corporate structure that we talked about. They're often hungrier and thus outwork other companies. They also bring a lot of new ideas and new approaches to the problems that they're solving, and this often leads to really good positive changes. There's also the benefit right now that the market seems to be throwing a lot of money at EV startups, with a lot of EV companies going public and hitting the public markets. So in conclusion, to wrap this all up, Tesla does have a very large lead right now in the electric vehicle market, but there are some really good vehicles coming that will be some competition to Tesla. But as we mentioned, I believe this will actually push Tesla to make even better vehicles, and more electric vehicles on the market actually help Tesla reach their goal. As always, I am excited to welcome any new electric vehicle to the market, especially those that we talked about that are well designed and they seem like they will be competitive. In the end, all these electric vehicles will work together to create a more sustainable future for our transportation. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you learned something as well. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, if you click the bell icon, you'll be notified when new videos are published. Also, if you did like the video, please consider clicking the like button so other people can find the video as well. I also wanted to take a moment here to thank the Patreon supporters, which support me every month and help me bring this content to you. If you'd like to find out more about the Patreon community that I've set up, I'll put a link in the description below. Thank you so much.